My friends want to use my books without me. Am I overreacting? That's how it kind of sums it up, but not really. If it were, hey, can I borrow your player's handbook? I think I'd be fine with that, but it's not. For context, I have a few $1,000s in books, like $2,000 or $3,000, and D&D is my biggest hobby. My play group used to be a few friends. We all enjoyed the game. We had a great time playing. Nothing wrong there. The issue is that eventually we all kind of just stopped playing. And when I tried to schedule a session, they tell me they were busy on our game day and wouldn't elaborate. Turns out they found a new dungeon master, a guy who had major issues with me and never told me until one of them let it slip, but kept asking me to send them content from the books I own to help them make characters. I feel betrayed. I feel used. I feel lied to. I haven't spoken to them about it, but I also haven't sent them any more stuff from my books. Am I overreacting? I mean, not really. If they're not going to play with you, they can't use your stuff. I think that's a completely reasonable point of view, and... What's this edit? Why the hell are you guys getting political with this? That was not what was happening. My group generally share all of my views. Lock posts. New comments cannot be posted. Oh, well, come on. Now I just have got to know.
A few moments later.
The fact that you came to a D&D subreddit looking through someone else's post history who was looking for advice just so you could call someone a Nazi tells me everything I need to know about interacting with you. Thank you for your contribution, and goodbye. I may be a Nazi, but when you think about it, aren't you the real villain for finding out I am a Nazi? D&D is a group activity. In order for it to be fun, you need to get along with the people you're playing with. The only people who say otherwise are people who no one wants to play with. Like this guy. Hello, Crispy. Love your channel. I don't believe you had a Call of Cthulhu horror story recently, which, what are you talking about, man? We work with tons of cock. For context, I started a TTRPG club in my local community college. I was actually duly enrolled at the time, so I was 17. This was like 2 years ago, so second semester of the TTRPG club, I was going to run Call of Cthulhu. Some new people had joined the club since then, and one of them we'll call Tyler for the story. First meeting of second semester. I, as the founder and co-president of the club, we had two presidents because we are incompetent college students. Why is that a problem? Do you have House of Cards politics in the middle of college D&D clubs? That's a serious question, do you? Because, like, maybe I should have joined. While I was introducing myself, I made it clear I was 17 and had a boyfriend. Later on, when one of my friends was introducing themselves, they stole a seat because I got up for whatever reason. So I told them, if you don't get out of my seat, I'll sit on you. I meant it as just like a joking type of thing. However, Tyler makes a comment and says, careful, you might get him excited. This majorly made me uncomfortable because one, my friend's asexual, and two, I made it clear I was a minor and had a boyfriend. I just tried to brush this off because I was founder and president of the club, and the club welcomes everyone. Generally speaking, for any club owners out there, you don't need to put, we're okay with sexual harassment on the banner page. You'll still get members, don't worry. Now, time for the Call of Cthulhu game. The cast is myself as the game master, Tyler as the problem, Killian, my asexual friend from earlier, and Chris, who doesn't really show up much. I had this cool idea to mix Terraria with Call of Cthulhu type stuff, and I was really excited to run it. So everyone made their characters. Also keep in mind, I'm the only female representing in this group at the time. My friend Killian ends up making a female elderly character. So halfway through club time, the group was split up and came across a giant man-eating plant in a barn. Killian's character gets caught in the vines of the plant. Tyler, again, makes comments along the lines of Killian's character being messed with because the vines were like tentacles, and yeah, he just kept on going on and on about it. I just ended up making an excuse to leave early. Tyler was making me so uncomfortable in my own club that I created, and there were many more incidents than just those two. I wasn't a person who could stand up for myself very easily and kind of count on my friends to help, but none of them ever did. I eventually had to go to the organization in the college that deals with clubs and tell them I didn't feel safe around Tyler. Oh my god, somebody who actually goes to the teachers and tells!
Oh, face it, you little squid. You're not strong enough to beat me. Might as well give me your lunch money right now. I know I'm not strong enough. But she is. What? Jeremiah! Yeah, that's right. I told the teacher.
Report
Report to the principal's office. At once.
Snitches get stitches does not apply to school bullies. At that point, because I didn't know what to do, I've been making excuses not to come to the club at all. This caused some other problems to appear, like another problem player who honestly warrants a whole other horror story just about him. Luckily, this has a happy ending. Tyler was reprimanded. Eventually, he just stopped coming to club hours. Thanks for listening to this long story. Have a great day. Not too long at all. And yeah, I believe you when you say it was more incidents than just those two. People like this are not exactly the most subtle. But even if it's 2 incidents, 3 incidents, however many few incidents, it's still worth talking about. Like, if something makes you uncomfortable, it makes you uncomfortable, period. And if not addressed, it will fester. Like, say hypothetically, this isn't a big deal, you're just overthinking it. The more you leave it unresolved, the more you're going to overthink it in the future until it actually becomes a problem. You need to address these things early so that doesn't happen. And oftentimes, frankly, you're not overthinking it. Oftentimes, these are actual real problems, just like Tyler here at the table. You are right to go to the adults and sort Tyler out. I'm just glad you had administrators and professors who are willing to actually do their damn job. I'm really sick of having to subscribe to like 5 different services for everything I need in my D&D game. Why can't they just be in one package? Well, thank God for CZEPEKU. This week's videos are sponsored by CZEPEKU. And yeah, I know you guys have heard about CZEPEKU before. They are the premier creators of fantasy maps, tokens, and wallpapers. Seriously, there's no one better in this business. And now you can get all of it bundled together in a single package with the CZEPEKU Complete Fantasy Bundle. With it, you get 6,000 high-res battle maps, 2,000 fantasy scenes, and 300 hand-drawn tokens with endless variations for you to choose from. I use CZEPEKU tokens in every single one of my D&D and Draw Steel games. The endless customization, the gorgeous human-made artwork, it is all more than worth the price. Considering how much you're getting for just one fee, I'd say it's a bargain. So, if you guys are interested, you can head down into the description down below or to the pinned comment where you can pick up the CZEPEKU bundle. Thank you so much to CZEPEKU for sponsoring this week's videos. As always, supporting our sponsors does support us. And without further ado, I'm going to turn back into an anime rat so we can get back to the video. For context, I borrowed some money from him to cover the cost of my tire popping for just a couple days, which, by the way, that happened to me too. I almost died. Story for another time, I guess. I left the timestamps on those messages because he literally messaged me like maybe 10 minutes after our phone call ended. We are not going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons with this guy ever again. Hey dude, how's it hanging? Did you get my voice message about this weekend? I didn't, sorry, I've been pretty busy. No problem, but if you're gonna borrow money from me, the least you could do is answer my calls. Right, sorry man, I've been working some extra hours, it's just been a really terrible week. Okay, that's fine, I guess. I was hoping you could talk, are you free? Sure.
1 hour later.
Hey, that talk didn't go so good. Are you still mad? Dude, yes, I sent the money to you through Cash App. Please, let's not talk again. All I did was ask you to dinner on Friday. You're being kind of a bitch about it. Bro got rejected and pulled out bitch 5 seconds later.
Oh, so she a bitch now?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Don't twist it around. You literally loaned me the loan you gave me for my tire. I knew why I asked, we weren't super close, but I was desperate. But threatening me? I did not expect that, Green Redacted. Have a good night. You're being dramatic. I was being funny. Come on. I'm a really sweet guy. I loaned you some money. You should probably at least let me tap it if you're gonna take so long to answer me. And then the long tangent about how all women are gold diggers too? My brother in Christ, absolutely not. Dudes are like, oh my god, I was just being funny. And then their funny is...
I hate women belong to God. Women are disgusting. I hate them so much. But also, why would they fall in love? Like,
Okay, but you led me on. You made me think we were gonna date. You set me up. Like, what the hell? I didn't do anything like that. I've been nothing but cordial to you because you're Yellow Redacted's friend. And we all play Dungeons and Dragons together. Before I borrowed from you, I had only spoken to you a handful of times in the group chat. You're always looking at me, though. You always try to talk to me like, I don't know. What? You're the dungeon master!
Yeah, DM, can I investigate the chest? I just want to make sure it's not a mimic before I open it up, because I just want to open it up, make sure we're not all gonna die, and like... Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm a woman. I have boobs. I'm looking at you.
She looked at me directly in my direction. She spoke to me with words, and as she spoke, her chest rose and fell, and her breast breasted breastfully as her words exited her mouth, and her eyes made contact with mine. This must be love.
Hey, DM? Should we call an ambulance?
Literally, everyone's looking at you. Everyone is talking to you. Just keep being a bitch. Whatever, bro. Man, how long has it been since we had some quality nice guys on the channel? Ah, that takes me back. It feels like whenever I make fun of incels or nice guys, I get responses from men who are like, oh, well, why don't you tell me how to get a girlfriend if it's so easy? And the honest truth is, I can't just make a video explaining in clear terms, step by step, here's how you get a girlfriend, because people are complicated. Most people learn that over the course of their life. They learn how to interact with others, to make friends, to form bonds and relationships, because they go outside and get practice. But a lot of men don't do that. They kind of just expect a relationship's gonna fall into their lap, and I'm sorry, that's not gonna happen. It's especially sad because so many of these men spend their entire lives hating women. And I don't know how to tell you this, but that's not gonna make women fall in love with you. It's generally considered unattractive. Sounds like common sense, but apparently it's not. I've played tabletop role-playing games on and off for the last 14 years in a handful of sessions. I found a greater love for Dungeons & Dragons after listening to Critical Role as Campaign 1 was being aired. I had just moved to a new state and had new friends, so listening to the podcast version of their show, and the Adventure Zone 2, kept me from feeling so lonely. Enter my Dungeon Master and former friend, who we will call Sherman. I was introduced to Sherman through another former acquaintance, who we will call Chad. Chad's parents knew my parents and pressured him to invite me to regular board game nights with Chad, Sherman, and Sherman's wife, Morticia. We all had fun, and they became my new group of friends. Eventually, Chad, Sherman, and Morticia rented a house together and decided they want to run a Dungeons & Dragons campaign. Chad started dating a girl we'll call Bunny, who was invited to play. Sherman also invited his friend, who we'll call Veteran, to play. He was, as you may expect, a veteran player. Am I crazy for immediately thinking, oh, veteran of, like, war? I should probably analyze why my mind goes there immediately. Sometimes Veteran's wife would also sit on the sessions. We'll just call her wife. Now, Sherman was an experienced dungeon master, and he did a lot of puzzles, which was great. However, he sometimes made you roll for tasks that didn't really require a roll, and was particular about requiring players to be specific about what they were doing in roleplay. Sometimes he would tell us puzzle solutions that he thought were really obvious, but required leaps in logic, or in-game clues that just, weren't there. Guys, there's only one place you should be going for D&D puzzles. Okay, maybe even that is a little bit too complicated for him, never mind. He also liked to reward players at the end of the session with inspiration. Myself, Bunny, and Morticia were very new to playing Dungeons & Dragons at the time, so the party was mainly newbies. But I was the nerd who read through the player's handbook and watched Critical Role and Taz, though I was aware there was some house ruling, homebrewing in both shows. So I knew the mechanics a bit better than the other two. My main complaint with the game was Veteran. He was constantly getting us into unnecessary fights that didn't make sense in character, and then would go quiet and play on his phone during the roleplay. Now, this did lead to some interesting things. He picked a fight with a giant, but the rest of us made friends with the giant, and he actually carried us to the town that we were heading to. He picked a fight with some town guards who demanded we turn over any weapons. The rest of us refused to fight, so he was alone and got arrested and went to trial, and the DM got him off the hook with an NPC goblin lawyer. Generally, his antics were frustrating, and it seemed like he was the main character of the story. Sure, if all the main character does is lose fights and get sued, sure. Sounds sounds like an awesome main character. Now, this town we were in had a nightly curfew, which we were told going in, but not told the extent of it. We found ourselves in a nice tavern, took our rooms for the night, and we went to sleep. Sometime in the night or early morning, there was a loud boom that woke us all up. We saw a weird light coming from outside of the town, but when we went to leave our rooms, we found we were locked in and we couldn't use a magic. This was apparently a magically enforced curfew, and our weapons had all been turned over to the guards from before. So we wait out the night, and in the morning when the curfew lifts, we leave our rooms. Bunny went first, and since she didn't specify she put her gear on, she never specified that she took it off in the first place, the DM stated she left her room completely naked and ran into another party member. Dude, are some DMs just like, yes, I will find some convoluted way to make my female players naked? Can y'all stop? Just get some help. She seemed embarrassed, but rolled with it and turned it into a funny moment. At the time, it felt completely unnecessary and out of left field to me, and I really didn't like that Sherman had taken away her agency like that, especially to a brand new female player. After everyone explicitly stated we came out of our rooms with our clothes and armor on, we realized the veteran's character was just missing. He wasn't in his room and wasn't downstairs in the tavern. We all left our rooms right as curfew lifted, so there wasn't time for him to get ahead of us, and we had all gone into our rooms the previous night right before curfew. We start looking around for him and he's nowhere to be found. Then we randomly get attacked in the tavern, end up burning half the place down, and somehow convince the tavern owner to let us keep the place after repairing it for her first. The details were a bit fuzzy, but essentially this was supposed to be our home base. Once the tavern is finally cleaned back up, who walks through the door? Veteran's character with quote-unquote a bag of groceries? We were all just confused as to where his character had been. Why did he get groceries and how? The curfew just lifted, so who had time to set up shop? Since we were staying in a tavern that provided meals, how did he get out of his magical curfew room? And the character, no veteran himself, had a single gosh darn word to say about it to any of us. You know, looking at my sad fridge, I wish somebody would randomly show up to my place with my groceries. Now, I may be the problem player here for the next few story beats. I was very frustrated that Veteran had tried to drag us into the type of game he wanted to play, and stranding us for any sort of roleplay so in character, especially after the interrogation we gave him. I made some kind of sarcastic comments about him not communicating, not showing up for us when we got attacked, something like that. I made it very clear that this was in character, even though I personally was annoyed. Neither Veteran nor the DM had anything to say about it out of character to set myself or the other players at ease, though it was very clearly a frustration, though maybe I was more frustrated than the others were, I'll admit that. We ended the game for the night, and DM handed out inspiration rewards to everyone at the table for various things, such as giving Bunny and roleplay reward for that one scene, the naked scene, you know. Freaking weirdo. Morticia for having the highest damage during the tavern fight. Everyone other than myself got inspiration. Bunny actually got 2, if I recall correctly. Overall, this session left a bad taste in my mouth, and I left without saying goodbye while the rest of the group was chatting about things that seemed, at the time, like they specifically excluded me. Now, buckle up because the story just gets way worse. More context, Sherman and Morticia had decided to open their relationship, which has never famously gone wrong in the D&D community, ever. Morticia went from 0 to 100, broke a bunch of the rules they had in the relationship, just really went wild. She also had to park their only car after getting caught driving on a suspended license. Sherman had Chad and I drive him to or from work a few times a week, instead of having us just drive him to the car and simply driving it home himself. He wanted to quote-unquote, teach her a lesson. That car got towed after a month with a few $100 worth of board games in the trunk. At least according to Sherman. Yeah, I got my car towed. That really taught her a lesson. Yeah, During this time, Sherman was also allowed to seek an outside relationship, and at first, he asked me. Due to everything going on, and the fact that I just wasn't attracted to him, and how poorly they seemed to be handling their marriage, I declined. I tried to let him down gently, since I still considered him a good friend, and said I didn't want to get between him and his wife, which of course he said I wouldn't be doing, but though I was young and dumb at the time, I wasn't that dumb. Oh, that's refreshing. Some horror story authors would leap into his arms. I'm sure open marriages can work for some couples, but they were also way too petty and uncommunicative for it to ever work for them. I didn't want to be more in the middle of this than I already was. Sherman started dating wife, as in veteran's wife, with veteran's consent. Apparently, wife and veteran had an unhappy marriage where veteran was abusive, but would also watch Sherman and his wife bone. I heard about all this secondhand while driving Sherman to or from work. Him saying, "Oh, poor wife, she's the victim here. He was trying to protect her and mediate her relationship with veteran, trying to get her over her depression, etc." Meanwhile, I'm friends with Sherman and Morticia, both encouraging them to communicate better about their own relationship. At this point, I was crashing on Sherman and Morticia's couch for a few weeks due to the trailer I'd been living in, getting hit by a car and becoming unlivable while it was getting repaired.
What god did you piss off? Tell me so it doesn't happen to me, bro!
Yeah, I know, this is a roller coaster. I got to talking to Sherman late at night while we were gaming together. He told me that I had really hurt Veteran's feelings, and that he really didn't want to play D&D anymore because I was mean to him about his character. I explained that Veteran was used to this old school D&D where you could only level up by combat, and I'm pretty sure we were using milestone leveling for this game, which we were all aware of, and that he didn't just have a lot of fun role-playing. I was honestly shocked. I was 100% sure that it was obvious the comments I made were in character. Though as a group, we did ask him out of character what was going on, and he always refused to comment. Apparently, he was on the phone all the time, texting DM about things his character could do to gain more power or magic items while we weren't in combat. That boom that we heard from the tavern, some kind of ritual that he did to gain more power, wherein he took a 3-day vow of silence. That's the best thing he could have done.
Your striker finally figured out how to shut you up.
We were supposed to follow him out of town to find out what happened, despite us not completing our quest line that brought us to town in the first place. To be clear, the DM nor Veteran hinted at like any of this in-game. Veteran's character could have written things down or tried to use sign language or something, but no, he did none of that. How were we supposed to know? Regardless, I felt so bad for making Veteran feel unwelcome at the table that I immediately sent him a text apologizing for my bad behavior and making it clear that the comments I made, they were in character. I explained my own frustrations with how he was playing the game and gave my own perspective, asking him to communicate his intentions better. Unfortunately, this was quite late at night and I wasn't thinking, but I also didn't expect a response and just went to bed. In the morning, Sherman let me know he woke up to many angry messages from his wife asking why her husband was getting messages from a strange woman so late at night and waking him up when he needed to sleep for work. I had literally met his wife, this woman, at some of the game nights. She saw how Veteran and I interacted. There was nothing even remotely hinting towards anything romantic in my messages. It was the one and only message I had ever sent him, and it was so wild again because she and Veteran had an open marriage. Also, she could easily have messaged me, but chose to message Sherman instead. I still don't understand that logic. Granted, I should have waited until the daytime to send it, I guess, but I'm just the kind of person who puts my phone do not disturb during sleep hours and didn't think someone who woke up to the sound of a phone notification would sleep with them on anyway. And also, how is that even remotely flirtatious?
Okay. Hey, man. Hey, yeah, I've just been feeling really bad about what happened the other day. I don't want there to be any bad blood between us, and I wanted to, water under the bridge. It's really good to hear that, man. Well, see you next game, and I'm glad you feel better. Like that. Are you in a relationship with my husband? Are you cheating with my husband? Oh, you delicious.
I don't deal with drama that well, and this was enough for me. I flat out told Sherman I would not play with a Veteran or associate with him or his wife anymore, and everything fell apart after that. Sherman and his wife stopped seeing each other. Sherman tried to close his marriage, and Morticia decided she enjoyed the open part more than the marriage part after a lot of crying, a conversation which I was present for. Sherman decided to move back north to his home state, leaving Morticia and I to split the house for a month or two. I ended up moving out after she ignored the boundaries we agreed on as part of being roommates, and immediately had one of her lovers stay with us for a week. I never met the guy. they never even came out of their bedroom. And I don't need to know the details, okay? Just the next paragraph better move on. I spoke to Sherman off and online for a year or two after that. He only seemed interested in me when he wasn't in a relationship, got pouty if we were in a voice call with my other online friends, and actually online dated my best friend from high school for a little while too. He ran a very short game with just her and I, but that's a horror story for a different time. After that relationship imploded, he asked me if we were still friends. I truthfully told him that while I felt like we hadn't been friends in a long time, the door was open if he wanted to put any effort in. I haven't heard from him ever since. If you've made it this far, thanks for going on the roller coaster with me. I think the out-of-game drama was more of an issue than the in-game drama in the story, but at the end of the day, the general theme was about the issue here being lack of communication. If you are lining up a cool thing behind the scenes with the DM, that's great, but a simple "my character can't talk right now due to backstory reasons" goes a long way. Also, if you're bad communicating with your partner or not respecting boundaries, an open relationship absolutely will not fix things. Guys, this is becoming a theme of the tabletop role-playing game community, and I really don't like it. What the hell? Like I said in the intro story, you need to like the people you play the game with. If you don't, the group will not work in the long term. There will be friction, and friction does not lead to a fun game. And that's the goal, to create a great story and to play in a fun game. You can't do that if you're worrying about relationship drama. I'm not saying you can't play with your roommates or your partners. That's absolutely not the case. I play with friends who are living together. I've played with romantic partners before. It's always gone fine, but that's because I play with people that I know, that trust each other. We're all friends, you know? Just, I don't know, man. Having a normal relationship with the people around you, not relentlessly picking on each other and manipulating each other, it goes a damn long way. Hey, that's a wrap. If you guys enjoyed, then you may enjoy this episode of Critical Failure, where we went over the worst D&D book ever written. It's linked up in the cards. But before you go, please leave a like on this one and subscribe to Crispy's Tavern so you don't miss any of our content when it comes out. And finally, if you want to leave your own stories or thoughts, you can go down in comments down below. If you can't think of a comment, leave the comment too open to let me know you made it to the end of the video. Hey, by the way, if you have your own horror stories, you can send them directly to us. There's an email down in the description down below. Send your stories our way for a chance to be featured in one of these videos. But hey, even if you don't have any stories, in essence, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you all next time. Farewell.
Blah, 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 blah. Panning stuff. Backstory stuff. Blah, 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 blah. D&D. I have boo.